So what should we see? How should we start studying marks over here? Right. Let me start with this. Let me go for perhaps a subcategory wise sales. Let me start with subcategory wise sale. Let me arrange it in descending order, and we can just have a look at what looks better, horizontal or vertical. Or probably I'll just keep it as, let's say, horizontal, because that way subcategories can be read quite slightly easily. Okay. Now there's something called as marks over here. The first thing about marks is that it can override show me. For example, show me is indicating bar chart, right? So we click on bar chart, and then, okay, whatever ascending order I've given, whatever formatting I've given, it kind of, revokes it. And then, fine, we have set it up. Now, whatever has been, suggested by the bar graph over here can be overridden. That is, you can make it automatic, in which whatever show me does, you can just put it over there. You can make it a line chart as well if you wish to. You can change it to a area bar if you wish to again. That is, if we do not like the graph suggested by show me, we can override it over here. Now, needless to say, we should have good reason for that. But yes, if we have, we can definitely override this. Okay. Now there's something called as map over here. Right now, let me stick to bar. All the graphs are put over here. We'll study about these graphs as well, right? So this is the first thing that marks do. Marks help you basically to override show me. Better to keep it in the automatic section, because show me, being an AI driven tool, is there to help you out. But for some reason, if you want to override this, you can do that. For example, show me is not suggesting line graph for this thing. You won't be able to draw line graph on this data from show me, but from marks, you can do that. Marks has the power of overriding what show me is doing, right? So let me keep it automatic right now. Let me drop down the show me bar over there, right? So this is the diagram. Now there are five elements kept over here, and I would like to take them as something 5 dimensions of data representation. That is, in the same chart, you can represent different cities. Or I'm so sorry. From the same chart, you can represent different elements. For example, here, I can see only 2 things. One is sum of sales. The length of the bar is, giving you the sum of the sales, right? Now, if you look at a bar, if you just focus on one bar, guys, just focus on one bar. Right, if I just focus on one bar, what are the various attributes attached to this bar? So if I look at it closely, there's length of the bar, then there's width of the bar, let's call it size of the bar. Then we have something called as color of the bar, right? There's something called as label. We can write something on the bar, isn't it? So can I say that bar can give me 4 different kind of information based on, how I use that? For example, in the same chart, if I want to use the length, breadth, text on the bar, and let's say color of the bar to represent different things, right? Then I can have multiple information over here on the same bar. For example, you're showing me the sales over here, but sales is fine. Let me see which one is the profitable. Now, what I'll do is, which one of these subcategories are more profitable than the others? What I can do is, if I take this profit and take it to this marks section and put it on the colors bar. The color, now the entire, the entire graph over here, the length is still representing the sales, right? But now color is being represented by profit. For example, and plus you can always change this. You can always change the color. For example, I can say that something called as a dark orange is towards the minimum profit, and something which is towards dark blue, as you can see over here towards the right hand side, is giving me highest profit, right? Now I can see that, okay, tables are making some sales but are in losses, okay? And the shady of the color, the lighter the color, the less profitable that particular subcategory is. And the darker the color, the more profitable that particular subcategory. For example, I should be very happy with bookcases and copiers, because not only they're giving me high sales, but they are also giving me high profit over here, isn't it? Because Not only the length of the bar is high, but the color of the bar is also very dark over here, representing that bookcases and copiers are doing fairly well. Whereas phones is not doing that great, right? Storage is doing okay. Now, appliances, although with lesser sales, seems to be doing better when it comes to profit because the color over here is slightly more darker. You know what? I can actually edit the color as well. And if I am not liking this color or probably this color combination is not flowing with me, right? I can always edit it. There are multiple ways of editing it. You can just click on this. You can click on this particular drop down, right? You can go for edit colors over here or edit in shelf. But let's not do it. We can just click on this color combination over here and click on edit colors. And if I click on edit colors and click on this, and then we can select whatever we want. There's plethora of options are there, right? And I'll go for my favorite, which is red, green, diverging. If I go for red, green, diverging, I can set up the colors over here as well. For example, I can look at the color and see that, okay, the colors are being ranging from here, which makes sense as well to me because if it's losses, then it should be slightly more towards red. And if it's giving me profit, it should be slightly more towards green, right? So red and green I'm able to relate to. We can go for stepped color as well. That is, we can say that, okay, instead of a gradient, right, the color changing very slowly in a continuous fashion, you can step it up, right? Something like minus 20,000 to a certain category is giving me this color. Then the other category is going to give me this color, right? There are 5 steps over here. You can increase the number of steps. Let's see, you can give it a 20-step range over here, right? It's completely up to you, right? But if I uncheck this, I am back to the gradient format. We can reverse it. If you want, for some reason, you want to put the losses in green and profit in red, we can reverse that as well. You can use the full color range, right? And I think I prefer this full color range so that the darkest red is showing me very heavy losses and darkest green is showing me very handsome profit. Apart from this, I can go for advanced options over here. I can click on this advanced option and we can actually define the starting and the end point. Now, by default, Tableau would have taken the minimum value as the starting point, the least value, and the highest value of profit as the ending point. Remember, guys, we are in colors right now, right? It's not sales, it's colors. You can change that if you wish to, but I would not like to change it. Yes, at times I would probably require to change the center. You don't want the center to be over here. The center is 0. For profit, it makes perfect sense because if it is less than 0, it means it's loss. And if it's greater than 0, it means it's profit. Now, it doesn't matter that the center, where is center lying or how many quantities are actually profitable or how many quantities are not that profitable. But I think center seems to be in 0 when it comes to profit. I might want to change it for some other variable like quantity sold or sales or cost, right? So it's up to the user. It's completely up to you, right? Now, if I just click on apply, this gets applied. And if I click on OK, I'm fine with it. So now I can see the same things over here, right? We can see appliances is slightly more profitable. With less sales, is slightly more profitable than phones and storage. Can I say this? Of course. The length of these bars are high, but the color is darker over here, which means that appliances is doing better when it comes to profit as compared to sales. Similarly, I can see chairs and machines, although are doing very well in sales based on the length of the bar, but accessories are slightly more profitable because it's darker in color. Tables is doing fairly well as compared to binders, furnishing, supplies, papers, and still labels in sales, but it's highly loss making, or how should I say, unprofitable, non-profitable. Right? So it's non-profitable and these are the quantities. So these are at least giving me some of the other kind of, even labels is giving me profit with such small sales. Tables with such high sales is giving me losses. So table came out very strongly in this particular diagram and we can have a story. Remember storyboard, guys? We need to have a story to represent from the data, right? Now, this is the application of marks as far as colors is concerned. Color is something that we can do. Now, as we discussed, right, if you look at it, there are multiple things related to this particular bar. Okay. All right. So as we were discussing, it was there are many things over here, right? Few of them is, if you look at it, there is a length, right? Length of the bar. Then there is color of the bar. Then we can now actually talk about size of the bar as well, right? That is, size of the bar can also be utilized. Now, let's say I want to represent the size, another variable with the size, or by size over here, I mean the breadth of the bar. Now, if I put it, let's say I've already taken profit, I've already taken sales in it. Let me take quantity. If I take quantity and put it on the size, the bar size will vary as per the quantity sold. So there are three things over here. One is the length of the bar, represented by sales, because that's the diagram that we have drawn, right? Length of the bar is representing the sales. Color of the bar is representing the profit. Now the breadth of the bar is representing quantity sold, right? And the broader the bar, the higher the quantity sold. And it is sum of quantity. Now, if you want to go for, let's say, average quantity sold, you can go for that. Profit is also sum of profit. You can make it average profit. You can always, click on this drop down and change the measure over here. You can click out on average. The colors will automatically adjust. You don't have to worry about readjusting the colors over here, right? And I think for profit, it's better to keep it as sum. Both sum and sum and average are important, because sum represents the totality. What is the masses of profit generated is represented by sum, whereas average profit represent per order kind of a sum, right? So per order kind of analysis there, right? So that is slightly different. Both sum and average can solve certain purposes. Now, it becomes slightly complicated. I understand that, right? But if you're ready to take that risk, you can always do that in Tableau. I'm calling this a risk because your user might not be very friendly with. The user might not find it very friendly, right? Because as an analyst, you should always make it easy for the viewer. You should not make it tough for the viewer. As an analyst, so if you're representing something, the visualization should be such that if you're able to put it to somebody who's a non-technical guy who's never seen Tableau, can understand what is there in the graph. Okay. Anyways, coming back to the point. So, but if I want it, I can put in the quantity over here and put it on the size, right? Now, as we can see, what can we infer from this graph? Bookcases are high on sales, high on profit as well, without selling a lot of quantities, which means that the price of bookcases seems to be slightly, slightly more than the rest of the cases over here. Storage is that particular product which is selling the highest number of quantities, followed by art. In fact, art seems to be slightly more. Art, binders, and storage are the quantities which are selling the most over here. Okay. Now, what can we infer from this? Let's see this particular chart. The length of the bar over here represents, as we say, sales. Green color, the color represents profit, and the width represents the quantity, right? So we can see that binders, art, and storage are selling the highest number of quantities, although not that profitable, and sales is high, which means that the price is slightly on the lesser side when it comes to storage. All that assumptions can be taken, but on this particular chart, if you look at the size, the color, and the length, we are representing three things. And all the summary of all those three things are there on the chart, on the screen. You can see sales over here in the column shelf, right? Along with the subcategory, there's a subcategory. You can see sales. Now, marks is giving you, what is the information I can see? Color is being represented by profit. Or profit is being represented by color, vice versa. Quantity is being represented by the size, the symbol matches the symbol over here, please. This is size. So size of the bar actually is quantity. So broadest bar is giving the highest quantity sold. The darkest bar is giving me highest profitable subcategory. And the lengthiest bar is basically giving me the highest sales subcategory. Now, apart from that, there's something called as label over here. Now, if I click on this, and we can go for, if I click on this show mark labels, then it's going to give me the labels over here. But right now the label, as you can see, are equal to the length of the bar. If I go for show mark labels, by default, it's going to take the variable which is put in the column shelf, which in this case is sales. And hence this text over here, the number over here is being represented by what? It's representing sales. Okay. Now this can be formatted. You can just click on these three dots over here, and do a number of things with label as well. Now, if I move on to label, we can see that the text is okay. And we can just click on the font over here. We can increase the font. We can decrease the font. We can bold it up. We can color it up, right? And we can go for different kind of colors over here. It's up to us. Different kind of colors, right? And we can match the mark color. We can just click on this. We can match the mark color, whatever the color of the mark is. For example, if it's dark green, the text over here will also become dark green and so on like that, right? Or perhaps here it seems to be different. Mark color would mean that it is going to match the sales, not the profit, because we put profit in the colors, right? So all that kind of stuff can be done. Right now, let's keep it as normal, which is our black. Okay. And then we can always increase the transparency and decrease the transparency of the labels over here. Right. All this thing can be done with labels. Right. And we can go for selected items over here. We can go for min and max. That is, in that case, only the maximum and the minimum labels will come up, as you can see it on the screen. You can go for the highlighted one, or you can go for some selected ones, or all, right? Alignment can be automatic. It can be vertical as well. It can be other-sided vertical. It can be horizontal, right? It can be towards the left-hand side. As you can see, the labels come over here. It can be towards the center. The center of the bar will become the label, or it can be towards the rightmost portion after the bar. And this is the height-wise case. We can go for automatic on and off. If wrapping is required, I don't think we put in that much level of label that we require wrapping, right? So yeah, this can be done. Field can be automatic, and we can actually select the fields over here as well. We uncheck this, we uncheck the labels. Now, point is, if I check the labels over here, something called as show mark labels, in that case, I just, select the labels which are mark labels, like what has been put in the column shelf over here, the length of the bar volley labels, right? Instead, if I just uncheck this and put another variable over here, for example, let's say discount. If I just put in the discount over here and say, let's say average of discount, because the discount was in decimal, which means that it was percentage discount. So if I just click on this, click on the measure and go for average, we get to learn the average discount given over here, which seems to be, when in decimal is 0.11, which is in percentage will be 11.61%, and so on like this. We can go for the percentage, the least discount, and the highest sales is giving me highest discount, which also, kind of giving me that discount propelled sale, right? So that's the point. Point is, in one chart, we can have many things represented over here. Now, which will, it's a double-edged sword, right? We will have a lot of information on the same chart. At the same time, it becomes slightly less comprehensible as well, because it becomes complicated. So if you're sharing this with a non-technical guy, he might get scared and not be able to infer what is there in the chart. But, to somebody who's slightly more technical, right, who understands Tableau, we can probably go ahead with this. Okay. Now, the next part of mark is detail and, or other two over here, detail and tooltip. Now, if you look at details, we can further put in things in details over here as well, right? But I think I'll take details later on. But if I move on to tooltip is something which is appearing on your screen in that small white rectangular bar once you hover over a certain bar. This is the information that you get once you hover over certain category, subcategory in this case. You can see subcategory, average discount, profit, quantity, and sales. By default, whatever you put in the shelves and the marks are being captured by tooltip. I repeat, by default, whatever you put it in column and row shelves and in the marks, these 5 things are being captured over here. As you can see, subcategory copiers, which is in the row shelf, average discount, which is there in the text, profit, which is their color, quantity, which is there in the size, and sales, which is there in the column shelf or the mark, right? So these are the 5 things. This collective rectangular box is called as a tooltip. It is giving you in that particular tool what is that, the entire set of information that you can derive from there, right? So this is the case. This is how the marks will be scheduled. This is tooltip. Now, if you want to take it up further, right, and if I want to, let's say, go for, let's say if I put in segment in tooltip, I don't put segment anywhere. So you'll not be able to see segment in the chart, but you'll be able to see the segment in the tooltip. As you can see now, subcategory bookcases, segment is star. That is very interesting, right? Okay, this is something new for me as well. But if I just Control Z it, let me put something else. All right, so this is what we can do with marks. As you can see, marks itself is, is giving me a lot of information. Now, this chart has become slightly more complicated than it was supposed to be. So share it with something who is slightly more technically advanced in Tableau. But if I'm sharing it with my MD CEO, so I will not make a chart like this. It's just there to explain you guys what these functions of marks can do. We'll keep on moving to marks, filters, pages, shelves, and various other things as we keep on moving forward, right? So we are just right now in sheets. We'll move on to understand how to create sheets properly, and then we'll move on to, creating dashboards as well. So let's see everything which is related to sheets. Now that we have almost understood the entire pane of Tableau, we can now move on to creating proper sheets. And then through those sheets, we can move towards creating wonderful dashboards. All right.